This summer, Springfield native Marine Gunnery Sergeant Thomas Sullivan was shot down as he worked at a Marine facility in Tennessee. His funeral drew attention from across the nation and massive media coverage here in Springfield. We spoke with Don Treeger and Michael Gordon, veteran photographers for The Republican, about the special and very solemn responsibility of covering that event as we look through the lens.
Any funeral is the toughest thing we do, I think. Nobody really wants us there, but we need to be there because we're the eyes of the public, and it's important to show pictures. And a lot of people don't want us there, but later on, they're going to be using our photographs in the future to talk about this event, and it's a terrible thing, but we need to be there. And in this case, a lot of arrangements were made beforehand. We were in contact with the family. We were in contact with the police department. Sergeant Delaney from the Springfield Police Department organized. The media was kept in certain areas. So we had certain views. Our field of vision was limited. We had to stay where we needed to stay. And that made the job tougher. But we just had to get a little more creative.
They had plenty of time to plan it. There was several days in between when he arrived back home and when the funeral took place. So there was time to negotiate all the details that had to be made under difficult circumstances in terms of logistics, because it wasn't just any ordinary funeral. It was almost a citywide event.
Let's start. We'll bring up some of the photographs and talk about them, the feelings, and someone went into getting the photographs because, of course, you know, if folks are ever at an event where you see media photographers, especially the still photographers, you notice so often you guys try so hard to move around, to get in up somewhere, to get that angle. I mean, this is pretty straightforward, a street shot, but there's a lot of feeling in that shot. You want to talk about it, Mike?
Yes. Well, there were two processions up. This is Sumner Avenue in the middle of Springfield. I wanted to show how many people there were on Sumner Avenue. There were a lot of people all along Sumner Avenue, but to get in one picture how many people were there was something that I tried to do.
And you do. I mean, you get a feeling. I mean, that's a crowded crowd, if you will.
Right.
You get a sense of people wanting to be there, wanting to be in a particular spot, respectful, but still kind of jostling a little bit to be able to see.
Well, there are basically three kind of pictures I was looking for. One is the overall picture of the scene and the flags and the street and so forth. Then the closer in pictures of crowd shots, and then of course the pictures of one, two, three individuals and the expressions that they had. And
we've got some of those pictures as well.
This picture means probably more to me than some of the others.
This is a fantastic news picture.
What feeling?
Incredible
there?
news
what
picture.
What feeling there?
Well, the point about this picture is the pictures that most of the pictures we had were people who showed up intentionally. Mm-hmm. These people here were stopped for the funeral procession to come out of the funeral home in 16 acres and head towards Sumner Avenue. And these people were just stopped because of the procession, and they got out of their cars, and this is what I got from that.
This picture sums up the whole thing. It's a fantastic news picture. Michael did a great job capturing this.
It's another great one of the public. I believe we have a great picture there.
Well, I shot this at the church during the funeral, and I must have made maybe 20 photographs of this one scene, trying to get it just right. They folded that flag, they did a lot of things, but to me, the multi-generational aspect of this was just too good to pass up. It made a great picture, I thought.
That's the kind of picture makes you stop and think, and you realize there's a dad, apparently there, telling his son what this is about, exactly. Why it matters.
Exactly. I don't know for a fact that it's father and son, but that's exactly what I was trying to convey in this picture.
Those are the kind of things we look at. Our landscape is the interaction among and between people. Those are our best pictures.
Absolutely.
The Marines were there, of course, in force, special people anyway. Mm-hmm. I can never believe anybody survives Marine boot camp. And here these folks came together, and what a solemn event it was for them.
It was a formal affair, and I think this picture captures that in just very clearly. And I had a little more leeway at the funeral, at the cemetery, excuse me. I could move around a little more. And because of that, I was able to get some pretty good angles and frame them within flags and things like that. So it was good. It was a bad event, but amazing place to make some pictures. And
Look at that.
and to me, that summed up the whole scene at the cemetery. Solemn. The flags made the framing framed him well, and I thought that one worked really well.
It's amazing because you're a ways off. You don't really see the gentleman's face, but you feel the pain and the weight of what's happened on
Don't
him
need
there.
to see him fit. Don't need to see the face in this picture. I didn't think.
The Marines are a pretty close-knit family, and they feel the loss very personally.
Here's another picture again. You
the
get that
church.
sense of Marine family, don't you?
From the church. Once again, we had to stay in a certain spot, and I think to make an effective news picture, we had to show the casket going into the church as well as the activities surrounding it, and it took some doing, but I had a little sliver of space to shoot through, and was able to make that picture, which I think just says a lot.
It's interesting you talk about the challenge of getting those pictures, and it's these events especially, and I don't know if people realize this, and not to try and say nice stuff about the media, but I think most of us when we go to these things, we do respect, we do understand how important this is to people, and we don't want to be jerks. We want to do it right. We don't want to offend.
It's one of the worst things that we do as a professional journalist, and we're so aware of our responsibilities to the families as well as the public that we serve. So
There's a little bit more to it than that for this particular one, because whereas it was a local funeral in our community, it was also a national news story. And so we had photographers and reporters and TV crews from outside the area, from all the way up to the networks. And I think we wanted to let people know in certain circumstances, in certain situations here, that we're local, and that we are not going to disrespect anything or anybody within the parameters of doing our job. And not everybody observed that.
Michael Gordon, Don Treeger, thanks for coming in and talking about this. We're going to keep talking. We're going to talk about something a little more upbeat, the staff photos of the Big E. So check us out online at wgby.org/connecting.